Hi everyone, welcome to Flip Geometry, video 9. This is going to be a video all about finding the circumference of a circle. So, as we know from the previous videos, the circumference of the circle is the total distance around the outside of the circle. And in order to figure that out, we need some other information. We need to either have the diameter, as I've indicated here, or we need half that, which is a radius. And that radius is exactly half the diameter, and so I'll indicate it as half the diameter like that. So the blue is a radius, the green, the whole thing, is a diameter. Now, in the last video we spoke about pi, okay? And we spoke about the fact that the diameter in relation to the circumference, there's a ratio of circumference to diameter that gives us pi. And if we take that diameter and put it around the outside of the circle, it'll fit exactly 3.14 times. So in other words, the actual circumference can be figured out through that information. So if I take the circumference just as c, we know that it's going to be equal to 3.14 times that diameter. So in other words, that diameter is 3.14, and then we're multiplying that by, that pi is 3.14, and we're multiplying by the diameter exactly that many times to get the outside. So that's one way of thinking about it. Now here it is written as a number. More traditionally, you would see it written this way. So this little formula here, that the circumference of the circle is equal to pi times the diameter, is one way to get the distance around the outside, if you have that diameter information. Then, we can also see it sometimes written as the fact that the circumference is equal to pi multiplied by 2 radiuses. This is another way to think about it, because the diameter is the same as 2 radius. So here's 1 radius. You can imagine that there's an equal radius on the other side here. So this diameter is equal to exactly 2 radiuses. So those 2 radiuses are indicated here. So instead of using pi times the diameter, we're just simply saying pi times 2 radiuses. The way this is written is correct, maybe not fully traditional, because generally what you've got here is a multiplier times another multiplier times another multiplier. You can rearrange those any way you want. Traditionally in mathematics, you'll see the 2 at the front times pi times the radius. So these 2 formulas will enable you to calculate the distance around the outside of this circle. Let's throw some numbers in here just to make sense of it a little more. Let's say that the distance from the center here to the edge, in other words, the radius here, is 3 meters. Okay, so we have a radius of 3 meters. Well, if we go with this formula down here, it simply comes, I'll write it over to this side here, it becomes that the circumference is equal to 2 times pi times that radius, which is 3. So in other words, we have 6 times pi. Now if I have a calculator, I can put the 6 and use the pi that's in the calculator to get more exact. Or I could simply go with the 3.14 and calculate that out. So 6 times 3 is 18 plus some extra, so we're just around 18 plus or minus in meters. So our circumference here is going to be roughly 18 meters. If we went with the other formula, the only difference here is that it's pi times the diameter. Well, that's going to give me the same thing. The diameter is 3 plus 3, which is 6. So it's going to be the same thing here. I would have just skipped this step and started here. So here's the diameter times pi. Diameter times pi is here. Okay? So that is the circumference of a circle. Stay tuned for the next video. That'll be looking at the area of the circle.